Welcome to Grave Overload, and there's been a huge push from Microsoft to do AI PCs, and especially Copilot Plus PCs. They've had a huge push with Snapdragon, Qualcomm's chips, and then there's also ones now from AMD and Intel that all support the Copilot Plus PC effort that Microsoft's been going through. And one of the major features they talked up a while ago was recall. And this feature, while I've, stated my security thoughts on it, people have said there shouldn't be much of an issue. Microsoft will take care of it. They'll have, the sensitive data not in those screenshots, and it's all going to be offline, that you don't have this. Now, while that still is a storage data, I still think that having it in storage is going to be a security threat at some level. There is, still a work in progress here. And Microsoft has said that they're continuing to improve the functionality. And if you have sensitive information that is in there that should not be in the recall, if you're using recall, fill it out through the feedback hub. I hope that they're looking at feedback hub data. I know I filed many things of feedback hub data that seem to just fall on a black hole of feedback, but I do recommend people putting in the feedback data, because that is one way we can actually hopefully make Windows better. We've seen, it have its problems in the past, so I'm hoping that Microsoft actually gets the feedback, puts it in, and gets, things better. But there's been a multitude of sensitive data in the recall that is out there. People have been testing it to see how well it works, and they've been improving recall, right? A lot of people are calling it the flagship feature of this Windows Copilot Plus PCs. And if you're going to have a flagship feature, what it really should be doing is being limited in the data that it does have, and you expanding it out instead of, it capturing everything and trying to trim it down. You'll be trimming it down forever while not being able to expand it in there. It's just an approach thing I think that they should have done differently, in my opinion. And when you're seeing all these confidential informations already going into it, how secure do you think it's going to be going forward, and how are they going to be able to address those security issues that may arise? This is going to be an issue that I don't think is going to go away. I was listening to, or Microsoft was coming out with another feature, and I was listening to somebody, and the first thing they said, it was something for browsing, and the first thing they thought of was, it going with credit card numbers or getting something like that in there in the browsing history of whatever that feature was. I get it was only for paying subscribers to Copilot Plus, but it didn't affect me, right? I wasn't using it. I'm like, there's another person that was, they were more, on the recall side to begin with, and now this other feature they're worried about in their browsing when they're ordering something or filling something out, that their information is getting in there. Or again, you have the issues of DocuSign and stuff like that that may get in there, these contracts, which, I can see an AI assistant to help you through the signing process, especially if it's a huge DocuSign with a lot of contract language, and maybe help you find stuff in there. I mean, I can see lawyers even using this to help them reread or maybe not reclarify, but refine something. Like, is there something I missed? I read through this. We're human. We all read through something and we're like, did I really read that right? And you have to reread it a second or third time. AI could be an assistant in that. I think that there's value in those areas. But for me, just to be able to throw all my data at something, take off screenshots of everything I do, and have that sitting in there when you have to kind of go through that data and see what it's already has, is an extra step, and that's a maintenance step that I don't really want to handle. I don't think people want to handle that data. While it could be local, we're seeing a lot of data breaches, and not all of them are made public. You go to and look at some of these data breaches. What happens if that changes and now your computer, attackers know that that is the attack vector? We get this. You're in a public place that has, compromised data or compromised security, and all of a sudden it is accessing your data. This is something that I hope Microsoft does address. It seems, they said that they're going to focus on security. They're going to do these things. I'm waiting to see, right? And are they going to? That's the real carpet here, is that they need, you could be encrypting and everything, right? It just happens to be one leak. Just one leak happens, and this whole thing is blowing up in Microsoft's face, which they do not want, right? This is one of those things where, like, you could look at HoloLens. You could say Microsoft was early. Right now, we're getting all these AR stuff coming out. I say that Microsoft doesn't seem to stick with a project long enough to see it to fruition anymore. Bing was one of those projects which took forever. You could still say it might have some issues, but it had a very long ramp up praise, and they stuck with it, and it's paying off. So we'll see. If they're really serious about AI, they're going to have to deal with this, and maybe the AI itself is going to have to learn about how to, or what data may be sensitive, and when it's taking these snapshots, maybe you have a level, and it's asking you when you opt into recall, right? And all these are going to have to be opt-ins for Microsoft if they really want it. So you opt in to say, hey, I I'm okay with using recall, and then there's a security level, and AI gets to kind of go through and black out those areas based upon, is it a low security level, you don't care about sensitive information being in here, or you want to be anything that may be close to sensitive information, just blank out. Maybe that's the solution here, is to also adapt AI for that. And I think that there is, different ways you could approach this problem. But one of the reasons why I want to do the video is that, one, I want to keep up with recall. I think that there's a lot of things that are kind of cool with AI. I really like some of the ideas of it, but I see it more as assistive still today than really just going off in its own world, right? It's really and we're using it as assistive um, technology, not just, you know, AI by itself. But I think one thing is that as we approach and move forward with this, we have to think about our data inside of all these areas and how our data may or may not be affected. Because in the end, if Microsoft comes out and with all the pushback, this becomes a really secure product, that's a win-win for consumers and a win-win for Microsoft, because Microsoft then gets a perception that they're more concerned about the user's data than they are by just all processing of what the AI is capable of, and they're more concerned about what the consumer, data represents and how important that is to the consumer, rather than just their bottom line and being able to sell another Windows license or another AI Plus, Copilot Plus license or something like that. I think that's more important, because you building up that trust as a company is going to be more long term, because you could easily tear it down in a day too, Microsoft, right? But this is the thing that I think Microsoft needs to put forward to show people that they are committed. And this is, I think, one of the only ways to show that they are committed, is really put that foot forward on what they want out of Copilot Plus, Recall, and all this other stuff with AI, and where and who is it really in control of the data. So we'll see where this goes. We'll see how the sensitive data gets, Microsoft is being able to capture that and trim that down over time. I'm sure that as this releases and continues to come out, we will finally get a outlook of where it is. That doesn't mean that Microsoft doesn't actually put a patch out that breaks it or, unsecures it all. Just keep that in mind. But we'll see where their, heads lie, where their ideas lie, where their commitment lies for this recall feature, and really all the Windows features, right? We see some of them and we see the ads and we see where they're going with that, and they don't really care about what the consumer wants to do with Windows. They more care about the ads in your face, and maybe this is a turn in a different direction to help us kind of rein back in Windows to be an operating system rather than an advertisement for everything else. So let me know your comments below, what you're thinking, what your thoughts are on the recall right now, capturing a little bit more sensitive data than what it should. Did you expect this? Is this something that are you growing pains, or do you think that this is something more? I'm in between right now. I want to see what Microsoft kind of does for the official release when they kind of get it out and get it all down, because I think that's going to be really tell us when they have an official, unbeta, insider build of where their baseline is and how we can gauge it based upon that. With that, I want to say thank you so much for watching Gray Overload and helping this channel grow. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit that bell icon, as it really does help out the channel. And until next time, God bless.